sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man. Happy Thursday, June 3rd, 2021. It is the Monty Show, locked and loaded on your podcast and live on YouTube. Oh, you didn't find this on YouTube yet? Well, first of all, you're a jerk. Second of all, you should do that now. Just go to themontyshow.com, hit subscribe, because that's a direct link to YouTube. Duh. Hit subscribe and win the TV that's currently sitting in my living room in a box, blocking my entryway.
Nice box.
Nice box, bro. It's a 50-inch crystal UHD Samsung rocket ship.
4K.
You also get a year of Disney Plus streaming. All you have to do is subscribe, take a picture, tag The Monty Show, this guy, and SLC Supercars, that guy.
Yes.
On Twitter and Instagram, and you are instantly entered to win the 50-inch TV. And if you don't win that one, there's always tomorrow, right? We've got a PlayStation coming, two Xboxes to give away. We've got our clothing line coming, so all kinds of giveaways. But you want to win this 50-inch TV because it is super nice.
Yeah.
And you want a year of Disney Plus streaming to go with it.
Yes,
so
you do.
please do hit subscribe. David Fulmer says, good morning, first again. Austin Lewis says, I'm here. Cody Strickland says, wow, what a day yesterday. And Driftwood says, I think the Jazz were the best team in the playoffs, period. I think it's hard to argue that, especially after a performance last night that saw Donovan Mitchell, absolutely Donovan Mitchell himself, to 30 points in 29 minutes. It was an unbelievable performance. It was a virtuoso performance. And I think it leaves you feeling really good until you realize that water's wet and Mike Conley is hurt in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got this hamstring that he's going to get an MRI on. Jake, how much should that harsh your mellow?
I mean, it was expected that the Jazz were going to beat this Grizzlies team, so we really shouldn't be surprised. I will say, I love the fact that Donovan was talking a load of trash to Dylan Brooks while he was torching him. That was incredibly entertaining. But yeah, I think Mike Conley, as your saying goes, water is wet and Chris Paul is hurt. Yeah, water is wet and Mike Conley's hamstring can't stay healthy. We told you he wasn't going to make it through the playoffs unscathed. We told you he was going to miss games, and now we're seeing that. And I think it's very, very fortunate timing for the Jazz that they are finishing up this series. And hopefully, Dallas and Clippers go 7 games. That's what you want. You want extra days of rest, and you want Mike Conley to come back and at least be able to play in some capacity. Will he be able to play 35 minutes a night? No, probably not. He's probably going to be, when he comes back, because I do think he'll miss a game, maybe 2. He'll be a 25 to 30 minute a night guy, hopefully, and Quinn will really carefully manage him. So how much does it harsh my mellow? It doesn't harsh it at all. I think that this is expected. I think that the Jazz shouldn't be surprised, and I think that this team is more able to get by when Donovan's the one playing instead of Conley. It's a much better situation for them. So I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit of a detractor. I think until he's out of the lineup, I don't think you realized how important Mike Conley was to this team. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that you have a human being on this roster that can do what Mike Conley does. And that's the thing that really stands out to me, and what I worry about most is that this team is on such a high note and is playing so incredibly well. Everybody hitting threes last night. And I don't care if it's Memphis or your mom's coffee clutch. I don't care. They were hitting threes at an insane clip last night.
Yes.
Playing really well. It felt really good until Mike Conley left the game, and it really is a concern for me because, again, what happens when Mike Conley can't play? Well, it becomes point jingles, and you wind up starting Joe, and you start having to move pieces around that don't perform as well after you move them around. And Mike Conley's a guy, by the way, who hits threes well. He's one of the best shooters in the league. He is, I thought, defending at an incredibly high level.
Yeah.
This is a huge loss for the Jazz. If he misses a minute of round 2, if he misses a minute of the semis, this is a huge loss. Because don't forget, you're either going to play the Clippers or the Mavericks, and both of those guys are already a difficult matchup. Well, now you're going to have an even more difficult matchup because Luka's going to get his, but now you have to ask yourself, okay, well, Tim Hardaway Jr., and if it's the Mavericks, if it's the Clippers, I don't even want to talk about it yet. Like, I think this is a great morning. You did exactly what you wanted to do. You did exactly what I said you would do because, well, I'm brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
They dominated the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you wanted.
I mean, that was the best first quarter I think we've seen them play all year. I mean,
that's the best. No. That's one of the best quarters in the history of the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
Hands down. No doubt about it. The way Donovan came out, the way they shot, the way they defended, it was just everything that you wanted. So, Yes, I am telling you, feel great about this win last night for the Jazz. But, man, you're really worried about Mike Conley's health. And it doesn't feel great.
Yeah, I guess, usually we agree on this stuff, but I find myself in this situation with Mike feeling like the Jazz can. Yes, it's a big loss, no doubt. I mean, it's a big loss. I'm not trying to minimize it, but I also feel like this team right now can absorb it a bit. Like I feel like I think that with Donovan playing, you're going to see him run point, and then you're going to have Jingles in the corner in his natural role. And to me, that's like with Don running point, that's kind of the bigger issue because the reason Donovan's been able to be such a beast so far since he's come back is because Mike's been able to run point and allow Donovan to play the 2 guard or scoring guard, so that gives the Jazz a ton of options. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the fact is right now he's going to get an MRI today. We'll see what that says. And you go from there. I mean, hopefully he's sore and just needs rest and then he comes back for round 2. That would be like the ideal outcome. If he were to miss some games, I think it's only like 1 or 2, and you're still fine. So, is it a big loss? Yes, it is a big loss. Is it as big a loss as Donovan Mitchell? No, it's not. No, it's not. Not even close. Not even in the same conversation.
Well, I don't think anybody's saying that. But if you project forward a little bit, you're probably. Let's say they win the Western Conference, right? Okay. Let's just check the box.
Yeah,
they win the Western Conference. How do you beat a Milwaukee or a Brooklyn without Mike Conley?
Yeah, I mean, I think you need Mike in the NBA Finals, sure.
And listen, he's getting an MRI today. I thought it was a really good sign that Mike met with the media last night. Usually players that have significant injuries or injuries that are going to cost them a lot of games, they don't meet with the media after the game. So you would hope that that's a good thing. But then again, on the other side of that, the reason they don't meet with the media is they say things like, I'm really frustrated and I'm getting an MRI. Like those things, those are not things you want floating around in the air.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, it's a hamstring. We saw how long Mike was out. The first time we've seen this with James Harden and Kevin Durant, who both miss weeks with hamstrings.
The leg muscle injuries are tough.
Yeah. And again, this is a lot of games in a compressed amount of time. And I think that plays into this. But to answer the question or the theme of the show today, Jake, are the Utah Jazz the best team left in the NBA playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to say they are right now. I look at Brooklyn and I think that I think a lot of people want them to prove that they can beat Milwaukee. I think if they handle Milwaukee in 5 or 6 games, I don't think they'll handle them in 5, but if they were to beat them in 6 games, I think people will kind of change the narrative on the Nets. So right now, yeah, I think that the Jazz are the best team left in the postseason. I look at the Lakers and I say it's just not your year, man. You gotta get some rest. I mean, the Lakers, win the championship in the bubble last year. You essentially have, what was it, 3 weeks off or a month off or whatever it was, so you restarted the season. That's nothing. I mean, these guys need like extended time off. So I look at the Lakers; they're very injury riddled right now. I look at the Clippers. And I say, hey, this team just doesn't have the it factor, and we'll get into them in a minute. But then, looking around the league, I don't really fear Milwaukee if I'm the Jazz because I think the Jazz will just outshoot them. I think it's really that simple. Milwaukee is yet to face a team that can really knock it down the way the Jazz can knock it down. So at the end of the day, yeah, right now, I think the Utah Jazz are the best team in the league. Do I think Mike Conley's injury is going to be some major deal? No, I don't. I think the guy's leg is always sore, and I think there are just times where he knows when he needs to stop, and so he stopped. And I can respect that. If you don't have a choice, for some guys, they don't have a choice but to manage injuries, and that's what he's doing with this.
Yep. Good morning, Austin Lewis. He says, saw a cool stat. Since game 2, the Jazz have only been losing to Memphis for a total of 2 basketball minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, this was a great series, but it was Memphis.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jazz, and I know a lot of people were shocked when I said it, the Jazz are twice as good as Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
But that stat should be a confirmation. You know what I mean? Cool stat. You're absolutely right. The Jazz did not struggle much in this series. When the series didn't start until Donovan Mitchell came back in game 2. And now it feels like Don versus the medical staff is, years ago.
And well, that's what we said, though, right? Like, if they come out and they dominate this series, everyone's going to forget about that whole situation. And what do you know? Everyone seems to have forgotten about it. So.
Yep. Austin Parkins says, which fell more flat last night? Memphis's defense, Dallas's shooting, or LA's playmaking, or the cardboard cutouts in the LA crowd since there's no such thing as a Clipper fan. By the way, wow, that's tough. By the way, do you guys know what's going on in LA County with the Clippers and the Lakers? The Clippers and the Lakers are battling LA County because LA County will not expand the crowd size at Staples Center because of COVID. Now, we all know that California has much tougher restrictions than most people. Their numbers are fantastic because of it. But I thought it was interesting that, Mrs. Monty and I were watching that game, and there are a lot of cardboard cutouts in the seats there. There's not a lot of human beings in that building.
Yeah.
And I think that's playing into it. Not that Staples Center is ever some unbelievable home court advantage, because it's not.
Yeah.
But I think it's very interesting. That's not a terrible point, Austin Parkins. Eugene says, good morning, lads.
Good morning.
Let's go Jazz. Brandon Whitesides, good morning to you. Forrest and Thomas are going to push us over the top. Murder is the case. Okay. Okay. It's a little early to be drinking, Brandon. Code N9N3. Okay. Welcome to the show.
Sure.
Jazz want the Mavs the same way we wanted the Grizzlies. Regular season, we handled the biz. Yeah. I think if you're the Utah Jazz and you get the Dallas Mavericks, you're going to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
I mean, with all due respect to what Luka Doncic is doing now, with all due respect to his smoking hot mom, it doesn't matter. Kristaps Porzingis is a dud. They won last night, not because Luka got his, but because Tim Hardaway Jr. had, I think, 21 or 20 points.
Well, and I think you said that yesterday on the show, that he was the guy that kind of catapults them.
Yeah, the Mavericks go right now as Tim Hardaway Jr. goes, because Luka's always going to get his.
Yeah.
And when he doesn't, you're going to lose, bottom line. But 9 nights out of 10, Luka's getting his. You cannot count on Kristaps Porzingis at all. He wasn't even in double figures last night. It's Tim Hardaway Jr. and Luka Doncic, both in double figures, only in double figures, and they win. To me, by the way, the Clipper meltdown last night was unbelievable. If you look at the final sequence in that game, I don't know what Nunn was doing. I mean, he has an open layup, and he passed it trailing by 1. Do the math. You get that layup, you're up by 2. Do the math. You pass that ball. Now what?
You're so fucked.
Right? Like, I mean, you seriously are. Wow, that's a great drop. You seriously are. And I don't know how the Clippers are here. We sat here yesterday, and I felt as confident as any time I've ever been that the Clippers were going to win that game. And then they melt down, and in fact, Jake, they don't win that game, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah, like Clippers ain't living up to it, bro.
Close.
Clippers ain't living up to it, and this is why I said yesterday on the show, they don't have the it factor in this team, and it's not something that you can say, hey, on that piece of paper, like, what's missing on the roster? Like, you can't.
Yes.
It's not something you're gonna find in the box score. It's not something. It's not a tangible thing that you can hold on to and say, yeah, the this or that. It's not like that with this team.
No, not at all.
It's the reason why they brought in Rondo. They thought that bringing in Rondo would sort of kind of bring all these different personalities together, and that may have happened on some level, but Rondo has not been what the team needs. And I don't know, it just seems like, and I don't know, again, we can speculate about this, but again, a Paul George team has culture issues. At least with Kawhi when he was in Toronto, or even his early days as a Spur before the hamstring sitting out load management crap happened. Those teams were good. You know what I mean? Those teams were you didn't have to
elite.
worry.
They weren't good, they were elite.
Yeah, so that's why I say my gut feeling, my instincts tell me that this is a Paul George issue, not a Kawhi issue. But at the same time, again, this is a Ty Lue led team, and everybody thought, oh, well, he won championships. Well, did he win championships or did LeBron win championships?
I don't think his coaching's a problem.
Well,
I really don't. I think that you have a situation where you're relying on guys to perform at a very high level, and they're not doing it. I mean, I love man. Mm-hmm. Okay, that comes out wrong. But, you want
to explain that?
I like Terrence Mann.
A lot.
Plays 15 minutes. How is he the guy with the ball in his hands when the game's on the line? That's what I don't understand. And the argument with Rondo and Kawhi, and the reason that this team is sputtered down the stretch is because the rotations are weird. You can't have guys like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard pass the ball with the game on the line. It cannot happen.
But then you get that horrible shot out of the corner too, and that's the thing. Kawhi is forced to take this contested three out of the corner and he airballs it. I mean, how does that? I don't know. That's why I have the complaint about Ty Lue, because I wonder, okay, that was the best you could do. I mean, what is the point of having all this talent if you're going to take a contested three out of the corner and airball it? I mean, come on, dude. You have to have a better set than that in that moment to get PG or Kawhi a decent look. I would say, and I think everybody would agree, that that's about the lowest percentage look you could get outside of a half-court shot.
Yeah, I agree. Mikey says, are you guys ever right about anything? I'm serious. When's the last time you guys got something right? The Clippers are terrible. Yesterday you spouted off about their greatness. Okay, well, I'm not the guy that sits here and tells you how right I am, but no, I'm kidding.
Do it.
It's not a matter of right or wrong when it comes. The Clippers are incredibly difficult to diagnose, Mikey. It's not. It's night to night. It's shocking that the home team hasn't won a game in the Clippers Mavericks series. So okay, I'm wrong about that. But we haven't been wrong on pretty much anything else. We told you Philly was going to eliminate Washington last night. Atlanta beat our playoff predictions have been perfect.
Told you the Suns were going to handle the Lakers, and they're
told
doing
you that Donovan was going to come back for game 2, and they weren't going to lose another game in that series.
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
I mean, that's just who I am. It's what I do. I kill NBA dreams. You know what I'm saying? Austin Parkin says, I'm not worried about Conley. Oh, man, you guys in these comments are amazing. Let me find that again. He says, I'm not worried about Conley. I feel like the hamstring isn't as bad as people feared, and Coach Snyder pulled him because they clearly didn't need him.
They're managing him for sure. No doubt.
I don't think it's a question that they're managing him. If the hamstring isn't a problem, he wouldn't be getting an MRI. And he wouldn't say he's frustrated with the injury. Mike Conley left the game because he couldn't play. They were concerned about the injury. Were they ultra careful? Sure they were. But I wouldn't say you're not worried about it at all. He also says, after watching third and fourth quarter of the Dallas Clipper game, I'm not afraid of the Mavs. Luka's the only guy who can shoot. Well, then I would tell you to go back and watch Tim Hardaway Jr. Because Tim Hardaway Jr. is lights out. And that's a guy that when he is on, he's lethal.
But I think for the Jazz, and I agree with you, but I think for the Jazz, they are better than the Mavericks. And I think that the Jazz...
no question.
The Jazz...
Well, the Jazz are also better than the Clippers, but would they win that series? I don't know.
I don't know. It would depend on what the Clippers bring. But again, I can't confidently say, obviously, that the Clippers are going to survive that series. I mean, again, I
don't think you can say that at all now.
This guy, trying to criticize us in the comments. I mean, we've been talking about the Clippers having issues and being an inconsistent team for how long now?
Months.
Yeah, yesterday we talked about the fact that it was really surprising that they had come back, and maybe we were wrong about them, and maybe and how I specifically said, and go back and find it, I specifically said that I was really surprised that they were able to do what they did and win 2 in a row and like bounce back, and like I honestly thought that they were done. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm a little surprised to see that comment, just because we've been talking. I mean, even since I can remember, even on trade deadline in the NBA, we were talking about the fact that the Clippers needed something, So
look, the best team doesn't always win. I mean, there's no question. This Clipper team is living to hit the switch, and they didn't have it last night, and it was really surprising that Dallas completely changed their starting lineup and moved Porzingis to the 4, and Boban started at the 5. And they were actually really good right out of the gate with that lineup. And it's a little surprising. I don't know what you make of the Clippers. Chemistry, I guess, is everything. I don't know. James Knight says, how about those Clips a real danger to the Jazz? Listen. Again, in the NBA playoffs, it is simply survive and advance.
I think as Jazz fans, you guys need to be careful mocking other teams, because that's what that is. Hey, the Clippers are well below us. They have no chance. I mean, that's the sentiment in that comment. And I love you, James. Honestly, I do, man. I appreciate you being here every day. But all I'm saying is that the NBA playoffs are about matchups. How does this or that series play out? Who wins this matchup or that matchup? And I'm not saying the Jazz are going to lose to the Clippers. I'm not. But what I am telling you is the Clippers are no cakewalk. They're not. You're not beating the Clippers in 5, in my opinion, but I could be wrong.
Mike Phillips makes an excellent point. Porzingis was one of the cardboard cutouts.
Yeah.
Where is he gone? I mean, he has not been the same guy since the knee injury. Like, he's never been the Knicks' Kristaps Porzingis.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really disappointing, because he was on his way to being a dominant player in this league.
Yeah.
And he will occasionally hit threes for you, but you can't have a night, and I don't care who you are, you play 30 minutes and you only take 6 shots and score 8 points?
How many rebounds?
That's ridiculous. 6. And that's it. That's all he did, right? Yet Luka's got 42 on 37 shots, with ain't great. You get Tim Hardaway Jr. with 20 on 19 shots, 5 of 5 from the line. Like, I mean, do you realize the Dallas Mavericks won this game with 42 from Luka and 20 from Timmy J? That's it. Like, nobody, 8 from Finney-Smith. 9 from Boban, 8 from Porzingis, 4 from Kleba. Powell gave you 8. That's it.
Yeah.
Brunson gave you 2. Like, you had 2 guys beat the LA Clippers. How is that possible?
It's Luka's world, bro.
I'm stunned by it.
I think playing Luka, one of the things that you really have to do is beat him up when he tries to go into the paint, because we have ESPN on in the background here. And he's just running around the paint, kind of doing whatever he wants, getting his open looks. Like, there's no toughness here. There's nothing, from the Clippers. And I think that maybe that's what it is. I mean, even the defense that they're playing is good by NBA standards, but at some point you gotta send a message like, hey, we're not letting you beat us. I mean, it's what teams do to Devin Booker. You know, we're going to double Devin and make someone else beat us. I don't know why we're not seeing that out of the Clippers right now.
Yeah, Carter says 15-6 without Conley equals 7-14 percentage. Jazz overall standing record 52-20, 7-22 percentage. But what does all of that mean right now? Absolutely nothing. It's the NBA playoffs. Look how different things have been in the NBA playoffs for almost every team. Look how different it's been. It's you don't play regular season basketball in the postseason. The Utah Jazz thrive when Mike Conley, look how much of a role he played in dismantling the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Like his three ball in this series.
The 3 coming off the pick is lethal.
Was absolutely game-changing. All the fouls that he was able to get on Dylan Brooks, and, I mean, defending Ja Morant, which you're not really going to defend him. If you're thinking that Mike Conley's loss is not a big deal, I think I'd be really, really careful about that. I just would. Austin Parkin says, dude, Tim Hardaway was like 6 of 18 last night. He was vying with Clarkson for who can toss up more bricks. Okay.
Whatever.
The guy doesn't shoot well, and he still scores 20 points because he's 5 of 5 from the free throw line. Tim Hardaway, I think I said this yesterday. He's a hot and cold shooter.
He is.
When
Just
he's
like
hot,
Jordan Clarkson.
When he's hot, they win, just like Jordan Clarkson. When he's hot, the Dallas Mavericks are a different team. And Viskovich, says, from Croatia, by the way, Lillard is also fantastic. And Denver doing this without Murray, Barton, and Dozier. Barton and Dozier, nobody's talking about them. Now, supposedly, they're going to get Barton back tonight. And if that happens, hey, I think
you got a series.
I think Denver is a much more dangerous team. But man, that was an unbelievable performance out of double nickel Dame the other night.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of that? Do you have a feeling one way or the other on that?
I think it's the best series in the postseason right now. I think. Do I have a feeling about who's going to win that series?
I think you got to lean Denver, don't you? It's
It's
so demoralizing to lose like that.
I think that Portland was one step out of bounds away from winning that game, and I think that that's a mistake out of a veteran in C.J. McCollum stepping out like that, and that just tells me that Portland is more than capable of winning 2 in a row. That said, are the percentages with them? No, of course not. I mean, you're talking about going on the road and then coming back home. Like it's a lot to ask. But what I will say is we all know Damian Lillard is clutch as hell. That's not even in question. And we all know that when that's the case with a team, you want to talk about a team that's got chemistry. Portland's got chemistry. They're capable of doing this. I just don't know that it'll happen. I would like to see them win, but it's doubtful, I guess.
By the way, Mike Singer of the Denver Post is saying that Will Barton will not play tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough...
I'm tired. You know what I'm tired of? I'm tired of us having to have conversations about guys being hurt. And this is something that I think, isn't a conversation in normal times because, they would have had a regular offseason. And this is why... when people are like, oh, well, these guys are professional athletes and the offseason doesn't matter. Okay, well, actually, it does matter.
Shut up and dribble.
Yeah, it does matter. Big time. You're not the one who's walking around on one leg.
Yeah. Man, I don't care who's injured and who's not. This is going to be one of the most difficult NBA championships to win.
Yeah.
It is. You thought last year in the bubble was difficult being sequestered from everybody and everything in the outside world for 95 straight days. I think this one's going to even be more difficult just because of the attrition it takes on your body. Like,
for real.
You're seeing stars, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, LeBron James, AD. You're seeing building block, incredibly important players to franchises out for extended periods of time because the drain and the drag is just too much on their bodies. So I think this is going to be a very, very difficult championship to win.
Yeah.
Very difficult. Cody Strickland says, will the media destroy the championship if the Jazz win by saying injuries were the reason? No. I don't think they
so.
will. No. I think people have a lot of respect for that. Mike Phillips says, Boban outscored Porzingis. Unreal.
It's embarrassing, is what it is.
WTF is up with my man Jingles. He looks like he's a rookie year afraid to shoot. I think Joe Ingles understands his role, right? Why would you shoot when you have guys like Donovan Mitchell on your team that are red hot? Feed Donovan. It feeds the crowd. Like, win the crowd, win the game, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with Joe Ingles. And frankly, I think he will become much more important as the playoffs run on. I wouldn't worry about it at all. Edgar Garcia says they are not trash. You're a troll. Okay, I don't know who. I'm not sure. Clippers, Edgar. Clippers are not trash. I'm telling you now, and I know Jazz fans, you're feeling good. Not to reiterate what you just said. Don't overlook teams. Don't slight the Clippers. All you need to do is survive in advance. Mm-hmm. Because eventually the Clippers are either going to hit the switch or they're going to go home. And if they go home, they will have lost to a very game Dallas team that everybody said, oh, they have no chance to beat the Clippers. What are they going to say about the Mavericks and the Jazz? Mm-hmm. Oh, they have no chance to beat the Jazz. You have a chance because you're playing the game.
Right. So
I would tell you not to go looking past teams. It is.
Yeah, I just think that the Clippers are such a hot and cold team that you don't know what to expect, and that is That is why I'm not going to sit here and say that I worry about them if I'm a Jazz fan, but at the same time, you had this team that showed you they can go on the road and dominate. Like they went on the road and dominated. I mean, what was it, a 25-point win or whatever it was? I think in Game 3. I mean, they go on the road and they show out, and then they come home and what? Nothing. So it's hard to say who this team really is. At the end of the day, if you're a Jazz fan, yeah, you're probably right. You're probably in fine position either way because you're going to outgun the Mavericks.
Yes.
So you're going to be fine. And if you get the Clippers, you would think that you'd be able to handle them. So all I'm saying is don't slight other teams because you never know what could happen. Maybe what are we going to say tomorrow if Mike Conley's out the rest of the year with some torn hamstring? Who the hell knows? That's probably not going to happen. My point just is you can't tell the future. You don't know what's going to happen. And the Clippers or the Mavericks are more than capable of beating you on any given night.
Yeah, absolutely. Sakshay, good morning to you. Good to see you again. He says, I'm only scared of the Nets. Jazz can handle everyone else. Yeah, I would agree with that.
You should be scared of the Suns. You should be scared of the Suns.
Yeah, I mean, if the Suns beat the Lakers tonight, if they close that out, this is an end of an era. This would be the first time ever that LeBron has lost a first-round playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
And excuses abound. As a guy that, admittedly, I'm not a LeBron guy. I mean, you have to take injuries into account. Like, I'm making an excuse, I guess.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
if AD doesn't play tonight, and I can't believe he will,
After the street closed Davis.
they're going to lose.
yeah.
They're going to lose. I mean, and I don't think Charles Barkley's wrong there for calling him Street Close Davis.
After the street closed Davis.
He is always hurt.
Yes.
Like he is hurt a lot.
Yes.
Now, in the bubble last year, he stayed healthy and they won a championship. Now he hasn't stayed healthy and he's got now this groin thing. And
They're the team that needs to be knocked out of the postseason. They need to go home. They need to rest.
They need it. I would agree with that.
I guess, and if you're a Jazz fan, it's fine. Hate on the Lakers. I get it. You're tired of hearing about the Lakers. But at the end of the day, this team needs rest. And they need to work on that roster a little bit too. I would say they need some work on that.
Trade Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, you have overvalued him. And how different would this team be if you'd have kept Lonzo and traded Kuzma?
Yeah, you'd be in a different spot.
If you'd have put Kuzma instead of BI into that New Orleans deal.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you think about that, this would be a different team. Brandon Ingram's a premier scorer. Like, that's a guy you give the ball to, and he's probably going to find a way to put it in the hole.
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma, not that guy. And you didn't know that when you made the trade, I guess, and I understand why they hung on to him, but I think you're right. If you're a Laker fan, you almost want elimination tonight.
Well, that's why LeBron is telling Anthony Davis not to rush back. I mean, LeBron's gonna go with the narrative, hey, we were hurt, we did everything we could, but it just didn't work out. And then he's gonna go home, he's gonna get rest, he's gonna enjoy his offseason, he's gonna keep making Space Jam, and everything's gonna be fine. He's gonna come back next year, and it's gonna be all good. So that's why I say I do think that the Suns finish it out tonight. I think that they win tonight, and then I think if you're a Suns fan, you're excited because now you're in uncharted territory with Devin Booker and this group, and I think that that's a really exciting place to be.
I wonder what Chris Paul's like. I am really curious to see how bad is this injury. Is it a more significant injury than it was, or is this something where it was an aggravation of what the issue was previous?
Yeah, I think it was an aggravation of what the issue was previous, and I think it's an injury where it really, really hurts him. The pain is at a high level when the contact happens, and then I think he's able to rehab it, lower the pain level, make it at least serviceable, and he's able to at least do something for the team. That's the kind of injury that I feel like it is, versus hey, I broke my finger, what are we going to do with this kind of thing, So it's kind of a more nagging thing to me.
Yeah, I think tonight's a big, big night for the Lakers and the Suns. I mean, again, I think no matter what, Devin Booker's got to be 30+.
Yeah.
You've got to be that alpha male. You got to be that guy that absolutely dominates the game for the Suns, because I don't think you can count on anybody else. Yeah. And I think Devin Booker is a consistent 3-point shot away from being just an absolute lethal weapon. Yeah, it's the only thing that separates Devin Booker that's keeping him out of elite company in this league. I mean, he is a superstar. He's just not KD. He's not Harden, Kyrie.
He's almost there.
He's not
but
the best of the best.
Yeah.
Interesting on Reddit yesterday. I've really gotten into Reddit, by the way.
Okay.
I've been using Reddit a lot.
Yeah.
Interesting on Reddit that there was a big debate about Donovan Mitchell versus Devin Booker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I caused that debate,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people put it even. I was really surprised by that. So I think Donovan Mitchell a year from now has potential to be just an absolute rocket ship.
MVP candidate.
Yeah, I think he absolutely, if he has the summer that he had last summer, again this summer, and both those guys, I mean, Devin Booker clearly added a mid-range arsenal to his bag.
Yeah.
And that's really become a definition for him. Yeah, absolutely. If my guy adds a consistent three-point shot, which you would think is just repetition and mechanics, if he's able to do that, look out. Those two guys, the West only gets better.
Yes.
The West only gets better.
Yes.
Edgar Garcia says, I was responding, about the Clippers being trash, right? Driftwood says, Kuzma to the Jazz. Nah, you don't need that. You don't want that. You don't want that.
Yeah.
I think he needs to go somewhere bad. He needs to go to Orlando and be the best player on the team and see where that takes his development. You know what I mean? Like, it just is. It just Kyle Kuzma, to me, is not going to develop further playing with Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
He's a 4A player.
Yeah,
That's
I would
what he
agree.
is. He's a 4A player.
I would agree. Vision Gaming says, hey, guys, good morning to you. Jackson A says, you didn't cause the debate. It's been going on since the beginning of time. Truth. Jeremy Bolton says, it's a fact if the Lakers lose because of injuries, but an excuse if the Jazz lose because of injuries. I think you're playing the victim. I actually don't think
why
it's...
do you even care?
I don't think it's an excuse if you... This year in particular, if the Jazz lost because of Conley or somebody getting hurt, it's not an excuse. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
If the Lakers get eliminated tonight, it's because LeBron and AD aren't healthy.
After the street closed Davis.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Brandon Whitesides, of course, I don't think watches much basketball because he says Mitchell is head and shoulders better than Devin Booker.
Dude, what are you talking about?
What
are you talking about?
In what area?
Like, you're going to, once again, this is what I always say to you, Brandon. You're going to need to come with more than, hey, this guy sucks, or hey, this guy's head and shoulders better.
You got to come
need
with
some
more
substance.
than, sensational hot take that I can't back up.
Yeah, I need
Right,
I need more.
If you look at their games, they're very similar players, and I think they're really close. To say one of them is head and shoulders better than the other, you either don't watch the Jazz, which I know is not the case, or you don't watch the Suns.
Which is definitely the case.
Devin Booker has every shot in his bag that you need. He needs to consistently make his three ball more. His mid-range, his basket finishing, his defense, like the biggest shocker is his defense has gotten a lot better. Devin Booker was never a wanting defender until now. And his defense has actually gotten a lot better. Just a couple other things. Predictions tonight. I'm going to take the Suns to eliminate the Lakers tonight. I don't think that goes 7. Although I do think the Lakers will get the majority of the calls because I do think that the NBA gods would like to see 7 out of that series.
Yeah, I think this is a signature game for Devin Booker. I think this is his first opportunity to put his stamp on the playoffs in his career. And I think this is on the road. It's at the Staples Center. It's all the Kobe vibes.
It's an elimination game.
It's everything that you want as a guy who is trying to climb the ranks in the public eye. And I think that Devin Booker understands that if tonight he comes out and throws up 35, 40, has a monster night, that he's going to be launched into true stardom with the general NBA fan base. So yeah, I think tonight my prediction for this game is a 15-point win for the Suns, and I think they torch the Lakers.
What do you get out of Dennis Schroeder tonight?
I mean, more than you got in the first game, which isn't saying much. So hopefully you get 15 or 20 out of him. But I would think probably closer to 15. Yeah.
You know what? I think it's interesting to see. I think it's interesting to see how the Lakers come out. That's fascinating. Spencer Morgan says, in a system the Jazz play and a league where three-point shooting is on the rise. Well, see, actually, I don't know that three-point shooting's on the rise in the NBA.
There's a lot of conversation happening that we've so Steph comes into the league. What was it, like almost 10 years ago now, or however long it's been now. And 3-point shooting skyrockets. Everybody's shooting threes. League has changed, the Steph Curry effect. And now we're at a point where there's a lot of conversation about the fact that the mid-range is starting to make a comeback. You notice if you watch, and I know you guys watch a lot of Jazz basketball. Yes, they shoot a lot of threes. There's no doubt about that. But what you're seeing is you're getting a lot of mid-range opportunities for guys like Bogey and Clarkson and these guys that are not, the frontline players. So I do think that the mid-range is making a comeback for sure. I think guys like Don and Devin Booker and all the premier scorers in the league are going to show you that. And I think if you can't hit the mid-range, you're not winning a championship in the league. That's age old.
Yeah, I think that now we're seeing more than ever that you have to have mid-range. I mean, if you look at the best players in the league, I mean, everybody's got mid-range. Kyrie, James Harden, Kevin Durant.
Well, you look at the best players in the history of the game; they all had mid-range.
Yeah, you have to have it. It was one of the knocks on Trae Young, is that Trae wanted to be logo Trae. If you look at Dame in his game the other night, he had a lot of important threes, absolutely, but he also attacked the basket to create himself more space. Look at Don's work on Dylan Brooks. The only reason Dylan Brooks is knocked off center is because he's worried about Donovan getting past him. You have to have it. And the reason that I think they're even is because Devin Booker has every shot you need. His 3 percentage is not where it needs to be, period. But when you look at defense, Donovan Mitchell is a good finisher. Devin Booker's an elite finisher at the rim. Mm-hmm. I mean, he can dunk on you, finish on you, reverse on you. They both can do all of the same things. I think they're even. I think they're very, very even. Their ceilings are very close.
And that's why I want to see them in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
I truly want to see that matchup because I think that's about, if the regular season told us anything, like that is about as even of a series on paper as you could get. I mean, you have matchups all over the floor. Just the Rudy Gobert, DeAndre Ayton matchup alone is highly entertaining. So, you look at that matchup, you look at obviously Book versus Don. I mean, there's matchups all over the floor. So that's what I'd like to see in the conference finals.
Yeah, and I think the long term, you're probably taking Donovan. I mean, if you're talking about like who's got the most upside, well, he hasn't played nearly as long as Book has, so you would think the ceiling would be higher. I mean, if you're having to pick between these two, you're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah,
I think that to me is something that these guys both work incredibly hard, and that's why I say like if you're having to pick between those two, you're in a pretty good spot. Like I happen to think that Devin Booker hit what he's done the last 2 summers, I think has been nothing short of sensational. I mean, his development over the last 2 summers, just his handle. Yeah. He came into last season with a much, much improved handle. Now, this offseason, this past summer, once they got eliminated, he didn't go home. He went to New York to work with Chris Brickley.
Yeah.
And immediately started working on those fadeaways, those teardrops, those mid-range close.
The difficult shots.
Yeah, the hard shots that make you an elite finisher. He's got all of those. And my guess is he knows now the upside is in that 3-ball because he is getting a lot of respect going to the basket. And now you need to be able to earn more space with that 3. So.
Yes.
A lot of people in the comments asking about Anthony Davis. They're not saying he's day-to-day game-time decision.
After the street closed Davis.
Yeah, I mean it'll be interesting to see what happens.
He's not playing.
I don't think he plays tonight.
He's not playing.
I mean they were saying yesterday. I know Woj had some tweets about the fact that it's going to be up to the doctors whether or not Anthony plays, and that's usually a no.
Ask Don; he'll tell you.
Yeah, I mean that's usually a no, and probably as it should be. This is the end of an era. If they lose tonight, it's the end of an era for the Lakers because you are going to have to overhaul the roster because you don't have a lot of cap space.
Yeah.
When you have LeBron and AD taking up that kind of money, obviously both those guys could restructure, extend, I don't remember what Anthony Davis's contract situation is.
But if there's any front office that can do that, it's Pelinka and those guys. I mean, they're more than capable of making it happen. And I think, I think LeBron would do well taking the Tom Brady approach to his contract, which is, hey, I'm going to take a bit less. I'm going to take less because I've made just so much money in my career already. So why don't I take $5, maybe $10 million less per season, and let's go sign some guys. Let's go and get whoever would be available, depending on what Boston does with their roster and that whole situation. So by the way, to all the people who said, hey, you guys don't know anything about basketball. My guy over here told you that they were going to blow their roster up, and not 20 minutes later, that whole process started. So I would
by the way, how does
Brad
Stevens fail upward? You got essentially pushed out as a coach, so we made you the president and CEO.
You have a deal.
What are you talking about?
This is why Boston is Boston, dude. They always do dumb things, bro.
I'm shocked by
Always,
that,
bro. Always.
I am absolutely shocked by that. And by the way, Anthony Davis has 4 years left on his deal.
Yeah, I mean, he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be the face of the franchise for most of that contract. The thing is the question is not Anthony Davis. The question is LeBron and what LeBron's plan is. I mean, I would think that he's playing the whole, hey, I'm going to sign 2-year deals for the next 4 years, and I'm going to just kind of go that route. But he said multiple times he wants to wait and play with Bronny. So I don't know if that actually happens or not, but. They need the rest, and they need to get healthy. That's what needs to happen.
Boy, and by the way, at this moment in time, how lucky are the Lakers that Dennis Schroeder didn't take that extension?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to be just...
Yeah, Schroeder's hunting for a contract.
Thanking your basketball gods at this point.
Yeah.
But I look at him, KCP. I like the Montrezl Harrell thing is interesting. Anyway, I could talk Lakers all day. I don't understand Frank Vogel's rotations.
Nope. And it's a good conversation.
I really don't get it. Why are you... Andre Drummond's not the key to your success for 48 minutes. Mm-hmm. You've got to find rotational minutes for Montrezl Harrell.
Montrezl Harrell needs to be eating Kaminsky alive. That's what needs to be happening.
Yeah.
And it's not happening right now.
Yeah. I just... It's going to be fantastic. This game tonight is everything that you want. Denver-Portland, everything that you want. Unfortunately, I think the Lakers-Suns game tips off at 2 a.m. Mountain Time. That Denver-Portland game is actually 6.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yes.
A little early action tonight. If I had to say to you right now, who's going to win the championship? Who would you?
I would go with Brooklyn. Go Brooklyn.
Go Brooklyn right now.
I would go with Brooklyn. Yeah, because I think that James Harden. The only reason I say Brooklyn is because I think James Harden's willingness to take a step back on the scoring front and be a facilitator and be basically a playmaker, basically say, okay, hey, this is what the defense is giving me. Here's what I should do. Let me give it to Kyrie. Let me give it to KD, or let me take this one. His willingness to do that allows them to go to the next level as a team. And then you start to talk about, okay, well, hey, he gave it to Kyrie, who drove to the basket, didn't have the look, and kicked it to Joe Harris, who knocked down the three. I mean, that's why I say that's going to be tough to handle. But again, earlier you asked me, hey, who's the best team in the league right now? I still think it's the Jazz until someone can show that they can slow them down from three. So that is the one question that no one's really been able to answer.
Ace says, do you really think LeBron would take a pay cut? I do. LeBron has talked about this previously. His main income source is not basketball.
Yeah.
And when you look at the money that the Lakers are paying him, I mean, he's essentially making $40 million. I want to say he's making like 39.
He's making an insane amount of money every year.
$39.2 million.
Yeah.
And if you look at the money that he has guaranteed, he has, 2 years left on his deal, I think. I mean, he's a guy that he's absolutely talked about that he would take less money because he's going to get 41 and 44, but it's going to be a matter of why.
Dude. Yeah.
Like it is, and LeBron, by the way, is not going up, he's going down.
Yeah.
So I
just think it's the right thing to do if you're LeBron. Do you want to win or do you want to get paid? That's my question.
LeBron is all. Jeremy Bolton says LeBron is all about LeBron walking out on his team with 5 minutes left in the game.
Oh, stop!
Did you hear the explanation for that? Was the game was over?
I'm so tired of hearing this, dude.
Yeah, like how are this? And this is the LeBum conversation.
This is not difficult. This is not controversy. This is not drama. The guy's 38 years old. They're down 30 with 5 minutes left to go. He didn't walk out on anything. He went back to go and get treatment so that in an elimination game tonight, he'd actually have a chance at surviving.
It's 90 minutes of post-game treatment.
Dude, this isn't T-ball. This isn't like, soccer when you're 5 years old and you can't leave the game when you're down 15 goals. I mean, that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
This is the NBA playoffs for a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best players to ever step foot on a floor in the NBA. And we want to sit here and say, "Oh, we walked out on his teammates. Get out of here!" Like that's not at all the truth.
Yeah, I just think that you look at LeBron, knowing that it's 90 minutes of post-game treatment. What are we even talking about?
Yeah.
And notice none of his teammates are, oh, he's selfish. Like nobody's doing that. And I love the fact that everybody's like, oh, he walked out on it. Really, do you think LeBron's like, fuck it, I'm done? Like, really? You think that's where LeBron is when they're down 30 to the Phoenix Suns? That's not where he is.
This is when we talk politics, we get comments about the fake media. This is you guys making up a story. This is hey, LeBron walked out on his teammates and he's a quitter. No, my ass, dude. He went back to rehab his body after the game. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it at all. There's a lot of people, like, I'm amazed by this. I am amazed by this.
By what?
Ainge screwed up the Celtics since Cinderella season with Tatum. I think Danny Ainge did a phenomenal job in Boston. I think when you look at, Kyrie, Gordon, Tatum.
Bro, he put together the Rondo teams.
Yeah,
did people forget that?
By the way, he won an NBA championship.
Yeah.
I think Danny Ainge, anybody criticizing Danny Ainge in Boston just doesn't
By the way,
get it.
If you had a chance to put together Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, and Jaylen Brown, I think everybody would have done that. That makes sense.
Unbelievable.
That's
why I say Brad Stevens is getting a free pass to fail upward to be president of basketball operations in Boston.
They like him that much.
And by the way, I also don't think Danny Ainge is done in the NBA. I think there's probably a high level of fatigue there.
Yeah.
Well, he's had some
health issues as well, so I think that that's being taken into consideration. But
did he have a heart thing or something?
Yeah, he had a heart thing, and so he's not a spring chicken anymore, but he is still got a lot of life left, and I think that when you get to that age and you've been in the NBA for as long as he's been, you got to remember he won a championship as a player too. He's the only Boston Celtic to ever do it. Win a championship as a player, then go and win it as an executive. And so that's why I say that. Yes, did the Kyrie thing work out? No, it didn't. Has that team been a disappointment for probably the last 8 or 9 seasons? Yes, it has. Yeah. Absolutely has been. But I don't think that we should be sitting here saying, "Oh, well, Danny Ainge is trash and he's not good." Like that's just not. I just don't think that that's fair.
Why are you guys pitying the Lakers? Who's pitying the Lakers?
Okay, once again.
Who's pitying the Lakers?
How are we pitying the Lakers? If this has anything to do with LeBron leaving the game early, I don't want to hear it.
There are no excuses when you play at this level of basketball.
And LeBron said that. He straight up said that they got their ass kicked. What do you want him to say? What do you want us to say? Hey, they were getting their ass handed to them by 30 points, right? And it was over. It was over. That game was not in question. And you want us to say we're pitying the Lakers? Anthony Davis is hurt. He's a glass box. Everyone's talked about it. How is that us pitying the Lakers?
Jeremy Bolton says Monty's all-time NBA team would have Book and Mike James.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, but what's your
I'm
point?
Shiva, the god of death.
I know everything. So what's your point? Casey Finlinson says it's not pitying the Lakers; it's slurping the Suns.
Well,
Yeah. Well, again, what's your point? I'm not even a Suns fan. Here's the funny thing: I'm a Booker fan. I think this is a league of players. I'm not fans of teams.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a teenager or I'm not fans of teams
Right.
in the NBA. I'm a fan of Devin Booker. I'm a fan of a number of a bunch. How are you not a fan of Donovan Mitchell's?
Mm-hmm.
If you guys I don't like Giannis. I don't happen to be a fan of Joel Embiid. I'm a
And your fandom of Rudy has changed over the last year.
Yeah, he sucks. Anyway, the point that was a joke. Relax. By the way, what did I tell you? Ja was going to get him.
And
Ja got him.
And
Jaren
Jackson.
Jackson got
Get some.
this. And this is it. We're going to talk about this a lot when we figure out who they're going to play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you that the best players in the NBA, if they run into Giannis and the Bucks in the finals, do you really think that Giannis is not going to attack Rudy Gobert?
Giannis will dominate Rudy Gobert.
Giannis will run right at his chest.
He's stronger than Rudy Gobert. He's more athletic than Rudy Gobert, and he has zero fear. Zero fear.
Yeah, Red Hart Norvis, that's exactly right. I'm a Lillard fan, but not a Blazers fan. I'm a Giannis fan, but not a Bucks fan. The Bucks don't have fans, do they?
I don't think so.
I don't think so at all. All right. A couple other things I want to get to real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Julio Jones.
Right.
Right now, today, if I had to nail you down, where's Julio Jones going to end up?
I like the Titans as a dark horse in this conversation.
See, and my dark horse is the Patriots.
And the only reason that I say the Titans is because they've shown a willingness to go out and get guys, notably the Ryan Tannehill situation, which has worked out fantastic.
Yes.
So that them going and getting him and then it working out shows you that they have the ability to evaluate, know exactly where a guy is. Obviously, it's pretty straightforward with Julio. We're not talking about some prospect here. I mean, the guy is one of the best in the league. But my point just is they can say, okay, here's where we are, right? We've got Derrick Henry. We're a ground and pound team. But what we understand is that we went to the postseason. We didn't have quite enough to get over the top.
Yeah.
And Julio Jones would do that for us. And so we're going to go and try and get him. I would love to see that. Now, if I'm Julio, I don't want to go to the Titans, right? I want to go to the Patriots. And so if I'm Julio, I want to go and play for Bill, and I want to try and see if we can put something together for a season or two to make a deep postseason
Well,
run.
the next person who brings up the Titans with Aaron Rodgers won't be the first.
Mm-hmm.
There's some real thought process that the Titans have
And again, that
tried
would be,
to get Aaron Rodgers.
That would be a very Titan move, right? A dark horse in that situation. Nobody flying under the radar, and then all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers, greatest of all time, goes to the Titans. That's
Good
something that they would do.
Really good offensive line.
Yeah.
They can run the ball.
I mean, where does Julio stack up, though? He's still one of the best in the league, right? I mean,
I think there's no doubt that Julio Jones is. By the way, when you're not the Atlanta Falcons and you actually throw Julio the ball, I think he's one of the best jump ball receivers.
Yes.
I think and the most inexplicable part of his struggles in Atlanta have been this issue getting him the football in the red zone, which that's got to be schematics. That's got to be X's and O's. How do you not get Julio Jones the ball in the red zone?
It's not a quarterback issue. It's not a quarterback issue.
You would think not. I mean, you would think that Julio Jones is a guy that you would target. And certainly if you're Tennessee, I think it's New England. I think with Mac Jones being there, I think
Seahawks rumors were,
but the Seahawks are rumored to be everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right? And again, I just ask you to do some simple deduction here.
Right.
Are you telling me that the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC South are going to trade Julio Jones to the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC North?
How is that even possible?
In the NFC West.
Yeah.
There's no chance they're doing that.
Yeah.
What sense does that make? It makes all the sense in the world to send Julio to the AFC, so you don't see him very often. And when you do, it's probably not going to be the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because Atlanta's nowhere near the Super Bowl right now.
Right.
So it makes no sense to send him to Seattle.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I think when you look at largely the way that trades in the NFL go, it's usually very logical. It is usually very straightforward. In the NBA, it's completely the opposite. In Major League Baseball, completely the opposite.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you can point to very few trades that happen on a regular basis. So when they do, it's usually pretty cut and dry. Here's a human being. Give me 2 draft picks.
Khalil
Give me,
Mack.
yeah, exactly right. Like you got a haul of prospecting for a guy that's cemented as a legit contributor.
Matthew Stafford.
And but that was a solution for both teams. It was very straightforward.
Yes.
Stafford and Goff needed change of sceneries. Okay, great. Let's help each other. If LA knows that they don't have to worry about Detroit. Detroit knows they're not on that level.
Yep.
And that Jared Goff provides them with a stopgap. That made sense. Julio Jones to the Titans or the Patriots makes a frick of a lot of sense.
Yes.
If they were to trade, that's why I like all the Tampa rumors.
God, if they got Julio, man.
But how are you? You're not trading him in the division.
No, you're not.
Like, that's
but
ridiculous. Like, immediately when I heard that, I was like, stop it.
You're fear-mongering.
Dallas. You really think the Atlanta Falcons are going to make the Dallas Cowboys better? Do you really think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to help the Dallas Cowboys win a Super Bowl? Stop.
Probably not.
That's not happening. Julio Jones, I think the Titans or the Patriots, I maybe with like a 2% chance to the Seahawks. And it'd have to be an unbelievable haul.
Right.
And we already know that the Seahawks aren't willing to give up a whole lot to get anything.
Yeah.
You know,
They're stubborn.
Mulvanian says Rodgers better regular season player, Brady. Oh, come on. Are we really having this discussion? Tom Brady's the superior quarterback to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Because he's clutch. How many times have the Packers gone to the NFC, championship game with Aaron Rodgers and died? Too many.
See Scotty Miller.
Yeah, too many. Right? I mean, come on. That's not even a discussion.
Bro, he just lost to Brady last season.
Stop it. A.J. Brown was begging Julio on TikTok.
Yes.
A.J. Brown's a hell of a receiver. If he's a number 2 to Julio Jones, good luck. With that offensive line
Cooking with gas.
that would give you time to throw the football. Stop. Red Heart Norvis says Brady does the little things that doesn't show in stats. Yeah, and by the way, Tom Brady, when he talks, people listen. When he's screaming at you on the sidelines, funny thing is, people usually step up and perform. So, I stop. This is Jordan versus LeBron. What, are we really having a conversation? Right? Like, come on. Aaron Rodgers is a hell of a quarterback. He's not a winner.
No.
He's not a winner.
Nope.
And at the quarterback position, you absolutely positively have to be an unquestioned winner.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yep.
All right, real quick, and we don't talk about Donnie very much ever on this show.
Well, mainly because there's no reason to talk about him, right? He's not the president anymore.
While we talk about Donnie, I want you to answer this question in your head, and then we'll start talking about it.
Okay.
What's your favorite cereal? Let's talk about Donnie and the media. So here's some awesomeness after you hit subscribe. Take a picture you're subscribed. Tag us on Twitter and Instagram, The Monty Show, SLC Supercars. Tag us on Twitter or Instagram with a picture that you're subscribed. You'll be entered to win a TV. I don't know where we are subscriber-wise. I think the show started at 920 subs.
Okay.
We are currently at 921. So we picked up one subscriber during the show. When we get to 1,000, we're going to give away a 50-inch Ultra HD crystal awesomeness
4K
display thing. With a year of Disney Plus streaming. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we will draw that the next day. So probably the way this show trends, about a week from now.
Yeah.
By the way, next Friday we will not be doing a show.
Oh, someone's got to go on vacation.
Pounding like a porn star, baby. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right. So is the media the enemy?
Oh, boy.
In sports, in news, in politics, for the last 4 or 5 years, we've heard that the media is the enemy of the American people, which I think is tragic. It's terrible. It's the wrong thing to do. But then these stories have started leaking out. Now that reform at the Justice Department has happened, and the mechanism has been they fired a bunch of people that Donald Trump put in place, and they've put fresh people in there, and you're starting to see that there are reports. And what was it, a month or two ago that leaked out that Donald Trump had seized the telephone records of reporters from CNN and MSNBC and, hey, who are they talking to? Are they really talking to people? We want to know who's leaking. And then yesterday a story came out that not only had they attacked the TV networks and their critics on television, but that they had also attacked the New York Times and the Washington Post by seizing records of their columnists and reporters to try and find out who they were talking to. And it just feels like to me that this is an incredibly dangerous rope to try and traverse. When you start going behind people's backs, legally or illegally, it doesn't even matter what the law says. When you're the president of the United States and you start, anonymously, surreptitiously seizing their phone records and their communications to try and find out who they're talking to, it really degrades the ability of the media to do their job. And it becomes this dangerous, slippery slope where it does not stop, in my opinion, the leaking.
Yeah.
Which the Trump administration had historical numbers of leaks from inside the White House to the media. It does not stop that. It only ratchets that up. And it's why people have started using things like WhatsApp. It's why people have found ways to use encrypted communication that even if it's seized, you won't know what the communication is.
Right.
And to me, that pushes you into a more dangerous direction.
Mm-hmm.
But is the media the enemy of the people?
No, I don't think it's the enemy of the people. I think that, we had a president for 4 years who basically lived his day to day on the rumor mill. You basically had a guy, running the country on the news cycle. And so, if the news cycle agreed with them, hey, this is great, go watch Fox, right?
Yeah.
But then, when Fox kind of came around a little bit and started not being so pro-Trump, we saw that kind of process play out. Then you started seeing Trump, start hating on Fox. And so it doesn't surprise me that this is coming out now. And I think that, we talked about, we had a similar conversation of this a while back now, probably like several months ago now. And in that conversation, I talked about the fact that these kind of behaviors out of a president are trend more towards a dictatorship where you're controlling the media, you're controlling the narrative, you only want good things to be said about you, you don't want bad things to be said about you. I mean, and I don't even mean this tongue-in-cheek, but this is like literally what happens in Russia, right? Hey, this is what happens in China all the time. Hey, you're only going to see what we want you to see, and that's it. And that's not
how
good
long
enough.
until Donald Trump would have been putting journalists in jail?
Yeah.
How long until Donald Trump would have taken measures to silence the people that were criticizing him?
Yeah.
And I look at Fox News, and there's a lot of people talking about Fox and balance, and Fox News is not fair and balanced. If you look at their coverage of things like wearing a mask, if you look at their coverage of the insurrection, if you look at this ridiculous stop the steal, that's just the misinformation that Fox put out about, the election and the machines and ballot harvesting, and none of that has been proven true. You look at CNN does the exact same thing, but the opposite way. Like, to me, the problem is that we've taken sides, and we're only going to talk about the side that helps our narrative. That's the problem. But in no way, shape, or form does that justify governments attacking journalists who report negative things about them.
Yeah.
It's the only way to have accountability is to let the American people know what's happening. And it's not accidental that the people Donald Trump hired leaked against him. Because what happens when people are leaking information is you start getting guys like Michael Flynn talking about how there needs to be a coup like in Myanmar. Do you really believe that the United States of America needs the military to seize the government? You really think that the election, do you truly believe the election was stolen? Like, if the election was stolen, where's the evidence? oh, that's right, you don't have any because it wasn't stolen.
But that's why this whole the media is the enemy thing is even a conversation, because again,
yeah.
And if we have Donald Trump supporters in the comments, I'm sorry you're not going to like this, but Donald Trump supporters, all they do is go off of what he says. So oh my God, the election was stolen, right? But where's the evidence? Like, where's anything that supports that?
And it's the Anthony Fauci email dump.
Yeah.
It was a Freedom of Information Act.
The Biden laptop.
Like, but like the Fauci email dump is a really interesting discussion because he's not trying to hide anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the right way to go about getting communication. It's you file through the system that is in place and you release all of his emails. And it turns out that Dr. Fauci is exactly what he said he was, right? But that's not the narrative that, like, Fox News picked through every letter of his emails trying to find inconsistency. Like, if you have to go that far and you can point to 2 emails where he may have said something inconsistent, I'm going to say you're really working hard to try and discredit the guy, right? Like, I just don't understand why we cannot have open, honest discussion in this country. I struggle with it.
Yeah.
I struggle with it every day.
Yep.
Democrats can't talk to Republicans. You can't talk politics at dinner. Like, it's amazing to me that we're hearing all these stories about how Donald Trump is telling his closest associates, oh, hey, I'm gonna be back in the White House. I'll be reinstalled in August. Like, based on what? Based on what? Oh, well, it's a steal. They stole the election. Okay, so you're gonna be reinstated in the White House in August, but what, are we gonna have a coup to put you there? Because, by the way, military guys that have complete control of governments don't generally turn their government that they just couped and stole over to average people like Donald Trump. That's not happening. And by the way, I look at somebody in the comments was mentioning Matt Gaetz. Anybody notice that now Matt Gaetz is being looked at for interference with witnesses?
Yeah.
For corruption.
Obstruction of justice.
Obstruction with the witnesses and trying to pay people not to talk to the prosecutors. Anybody notice, hey, everybody's saying that there's no discipline or no consequences for Trump? Well, he's under a grand jury right now. He's being investigated by a grand jury. When have we ever said that about a former sitting president? Like, it's amazing to me. It's amazing. Like, I also love these guys who are like, oh, the insurrection was Antifa.
Again,
Okay.
but that's a classic Trump rhetoric.
We have communication in the White House with the Proud Boys. Hear me, a white supremacist terrorist group was in direct communication with high-level members of the Trump administration for months. And you don't think that's a problem. Well, how did we find out about that? People leaked it. And so people started investigating. And so when Joe Biden administration took over, what did they do? One of the first things they did is tried to figure out how the investigation or how the insurrection happened. So what did the Republicans do? They said, no, we're not going to allow a January 6th commission because they don't want to know because they already know.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's amazing to me, the narrative and the fracture in this country. I don't know that I've ever felt like our country was more vulnerable than it is right now. And I'm not talking about nukes from Russia. Like, I'm talking about imploding on each other.
Yeah.
Because we can't talk. Because we can't get along. Because we don't respect each other enough anymore to have an exchange of ideas. Where you have people, this wacko attorney that's out there, and she's telling people, oh, the election was stolen. And you're being sued by the company who makes the ballot reading machines because you said that they were part of they were changing Trump votes to Biden votes, and you had no evidence of that. Mike Lindell from My Pillow still saying, well, we're going to put Donald Trump back in the White House, and then I'm going to release all the evidence I have that shows that the ballots were changed. You haven't released the evidence because there is no evidence. But people hear that, and they believe it. And this QAnon stuff where people are like, oh, hey, well, we were told that it was actually Donald Trump who had face-swapping surgery with Joe Biden so that Donald Trump would stay in the White House.
Dude.
Donald's still in the White House. He had face swap. Like, QAnon people believed this. And then after they figured out it was a lie, they were like, Oh, man, that's really disappointing. I'm shocked.
Pack this thing up! We're out of here!
Do you really believe that Donald Trump and Joe Biden had face-swapping surgery?
The answer is yes.
Like, listen, the
Infowars.com.
face-swapping surgery. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, dude.
Anyway,
Yeah.
can we talk about cereal now? There's a lot of people commenting on this.
I'm sure everyone's
How
all
many
upset.
people are being silenced and controlled from the right? I don't know. I don't care. You know, you know, Carter says you guys might lose subs if you don't drop the politics and get back to talking sports. We
Cool.
talk
We
politics
don't
on
care.
this show every day.
We don't care, dude.
If you want to unsubscribe because
Go
we
ahead.
talk politics, thanks for
ahead.
being here.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to stop talking politics.
And I was waiting for this to happen. Every time, oh, well, this is a sports show. You don't talk politics. Okay, cool. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
Good luck.
Right off into the sunset.
Carter
dude.
says I can go to other channels for politics. You're welcome to do so.
Yeah.
Omar says, good morning, America. How about them Jazz? Got to love it, baby. Absolutely you do. Black and Red HD says, STFU, shut them up and listen or leave. There you go.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Red Heart Norvis says, just like game one of Utah Jazz, the miscommunication with Don, all of a sudden news leaks about Don wanting out and a trade of Utah. Wow, that news narrative. Guess what? Where's the story now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't disagree. Those face swap idiots are the same ones who think Earth is flat. Truth. No one believes that no one really can believe flat Earth, but aliens are real. Truth. Omar says no politics. Sorry. Jordan Crabtree says William Barr should definitely lead an independent investigation. Truth. Let's see. Black and Red says, nah, I respect y'all not after this. Okay. I respect y'all not. Okay, that's cool. Jeremy Bolton says, I don't mind the political talk along with sports. Keep it up, guys. Love the podcast. Thank you. You know. It is what it is.
I just think it's funny that everyone's like, oh, well, this is a sports show, so you can't talk politics. Okay, but then when we talk cereal in 30 seconds, you're going to be fine. So is it just that you disagree?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you disagree. Okay, well, why don't you share why you disagree instead of going right to, oh, well, we shouldn't talk politics. That's the exact issue we're talking about. That's the exact issue.
I agree. All right, now can we talk cereal?
Yeah.
Okay, so John Oliver, last week tonight with John Oliver on HBO, is currently having a little fun with Cheerios. And they're talking about how Cheerios are for the family. And so he retweeted that with a picture of Eric and Lyle Menendez. Who are Eric and Lyle Menendez?
I don't know.
Exactly. They murdered their Hollywood parents. And so there's been some fun with that. So it got me wondering, well, okay, what's your favorite cereal?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, Honey Nut Cheerios, I will never say no.
Yeah, they're definitely up there with the best of all time.
Not my favorite cereal. Oatmeal, peanut butter and jelly oatmeal.
Okay,
I'll never say no.
no. Whoa. You're crossing lines now. See,
Why?
again, you're turning this into hot dog sandwich stuff. Oatmeal is not cereal.
Oatmeal
dude.
is absolutely
no, it is
cereal.
not cereal, bro.
Are you
No.
kidding me?
No way, bro. No way is oatmeal cereal.
See, I'm not going to fight you over politics, but I will kick your ass if you do not. Okay, when's the last time you had oatmeal?
I don't know. Why does that matter?
Well, one, it's good for your colon and your rectum.
Okay.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Okay.
If you weren't pissed already or ready to leave over politics, rectum talk. Hey, we're here for this. It's really good for oatmeal is absolutely cereal.
No. Okay, I need backup
Not my
on this,
favorite.
bro. I need backup on this. Oatmeal is not cereal.
Black and Red HD says they're oats just like most cereal. It's hot cereal. Thank you, Giggity.
You know,
Black and Red HD says soup. John Movidian says most cereal is bad for you. Too much sugar and carbs. Gavin Dale says oatmeal is hot cereal. Stephen Ling says chocolate Lucky Charms. It's stew, says Jordan Crabtree.
it's stew.
Cereal is cold. Oatmeal is hot, Casey says. Well, Casey's the same guy, Casey Finlinson, who's like, hey, by the way, is cereal soup?
Are we clear on that?
Cereal is not soup.
It's not soup, bro. It's not.
Okay, here are my favorite cereals in no particular order.
Right.
Lucky Charms.
Uh-huh.
Fruity Pebbles. Kashi Heart to Heart. and Kashi shredded wheat.
What about Life?
Nah.
Cinnamon Life is bomb, dude.
Yeah, it's good. It's just not like...
And hold on, how is Fruity Pebbles not making the list?
I said Fruity Pebbles.
I don't think you did.
I did.
Okay.
I said Fruity Pebbles.
Uh-huh.
I like Kashi Heart to Heart.
It's pretty good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And,
But I put Kashi in like the healthy cereal section. Like when we say favorite cereals, I'm talking about like Lucky Charms or Fruity Pebbles or like any like
sugar,
berry
sugar
Captain
cereal.
Crunch. Yeah.
So you want sugar cereal?
Yeah. I mean, best like take the health piece out of it.
Okay. Well, I'm fat, so my wife does not let me eat sugar cereal ever. She threatens to withhold procreatorial activity if I bring
You're
home.
so fucked.
Yeah. I said, "Hey, honey, I got some Lucky Charms."
You're so fucked.
Actually, I wouldn't be. And so
Yeah.
see, that's why I eat shredded wheat. The problem with shredded wheat and oatmeal is you are absolutely a gas man after that.
Right.
And it's not like, you know how sometimes you have gas and it's not bad? Oh, shredded wheat and oatmeal oh my God. It is
All gas, no break.
death in the butthole. Like it is so bad.
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Yes. Yes. It's so bad. But if we're talking sugar cereal, Cinnamon Toast Crunch
Yep.
has to be there.
Has to be.
I mean, Crispix
Yes.
has to be. Yes. What are those oatmeal squares at Costco?
The oatmeal
They beat the hell out of your mouth. The crunchy
my
oatmeal
God,
squares are
yeah,
so good. Oh my goodness.
It's like Autumn Farms or something.
Yeah, Raisin Nut Bran, the Nye guy says. I don't mind Raisin Bran.
Yeah.
You know, Reese's Peanut Butter Cereal, Cody Strickland
yes.
says. Oh,
yes,
my God,
Cody.
it's so
my
good.
guy. My
So
guy.
good. Gavin Dale says Corn Pops. Yes. Frosted Flakes. Just put some raisins. It's Raisin Bran. Can we talk about how Captain Crunch destroys the top of your mouth? Yeah, that's
Yes.
why I love peanut butter Captain Crunch, but my God, your gums bleed for like a month.
Wow.
You know, like what? John Mulvaney says, remember Belushi's Breakfast of Champions chocolate donuts? Oh, man. Maybe I'll order donuts for breakfast. Yeah, Dunford Donuts. Oh, I'm telling you, if you're in Utah, Dunford Donuts, it's the way to go. The Nye guy says, the moans of Luka's mom. Yes, exactly right. Can we get a Luka's mom fans only page, please? Like
You got to talk to her. I mean, it's her. It'd be her page.
Wouldn't you have? But you have to pay for that or whatever.
It's an investment.
Yeah, it's a tax write-off. It's content. We have to be able to talk about it.
Right.
And
Because it's all part of the plan.
all right, 30 seconds before we have to leave.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You're watching one movie. What movie
God,
is it?
Here we go.
What movie is it?
I'm watching one movie. What
You can
movie
only
is
watch
it?
one movie. Vegemite on toast, James Knight says. No.
Dude, that's such a difficult question.
Red Heart Norvis says oatmeal is cereal and cereal
No,
is
it's
soup.
not.
I'm
Dude,
Asian,
no.
and we think cereal is sweet exotic soup.
Wait, is
Okay.
that a joke or are you being serious?
Well, are you? I would assume he's being serious. Banbury Crunch Donuts. Enough said. Oh, Dr. Stomp. Oh, anyway.
Man, one movie.
One movie.
The Dark Knight is definitely right there. We watched Gladiator the other day, and that was amazing.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
One movie would be really difficult. Love cinnamon and oatmeal kind bars with coffee and hot cocoa.
Yes.
Carter says Parsons Bakery. Enough said. Such a Trump thing of you to say, Carter. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. That was a joke. Relax, Carter.
People will die.
People will die. One movie. It's probably The Fifth Element.
Stop. The Fifth Element's
It's
making
not.
your.
It's not. It's not. My wife hates that movie, and I make her watch
Fuck
it.
you.
Yeah, every time it's on. Yeah, my wife does curse a lot. By the way, is it do you have to curse a lot? Like, is women cursing attractive or unattractive?
Depends how it goes.
Does it fucking matter?
Oh man, here we go.
I want better fucking execution.
On that one.
I curse a lot.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
wife does not curse as much as I say. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. No, Nye guy, whatever you said got hidden. Saving Private Ryan, Casey.
Oh, man.
So depressing, though.
Hell of a movie. Hell of a movie.
You know, I would think some oldie but good. You know, like 16 Candles. The movie where they're in detention. Oh my God.
Breakfast Club.
Yes, Breakfast Club certainly has to be there. If it's one, it's probably The Dark Knight. I could watch The Dark Knight repeatedly on loop.
Fast and Furious doesn't make the list?
No. Jake and I usually go to the theater and see Fast and Furious. All right, play the music. It was an adult movie reference. Okay. The Departed is my favorite. Oh, The Departed is so good.
Inception?
Inception's overrated.
God, see, you say stuff like this, and you wonder why people get all pissed off.
Inception is the Jerry Seinfeld.
No!
Yes, it is.
No.
Because Seinfeld is one of the most overrated TV shows ever.
Then NYPD Blue is the Seinfeld of cop shows.
All right, so make sure you hit me on Twitter with applications for a new co-host on The Monty Show. Or just hit subscribe on YouTube. It does the same thing. Hit subscribe on YouTube, then tag us on Twitter, The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show, and I'm a new co-host on the show on Twitter. Those are the two handles. No, The Monty Show and SLC Supercars. And Chicago PD is the greatest show of all time. Until tomorrow, say, bleeding gums in my butthole, Jake.
Bleeding gums in my butthole, Jake.